This is Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remis.
What is up, everybody? I hope you had a great weekend. I'm sure you did after that amazing comeback win in Game 1 for the Winnipeg Jets. And guess what? We're right back at it tonight, 6:30 p.m., Canada Life Center, Game 2, Jets and St. Louis Blues. Welcome to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Andrew Paterson, Michael Remis with you. And we have got a lot to talk about. What a scene in downtown Winnipeg on Saturday night. Can't think of a better way for the National Hockey League to kick off the Stanley Cup playoff tournament than a game here in downtown Winnipeg. And the fans and the city stepped up big time and put our best foot forward. And so did the hockey team with a stirring comeback win, dominating the third period. And moving on to Game 2 with a 1-0 lead, looking to go up 2-0 before this series shifts back to St. Louis for Game 3 on Thursday. We're going to hit every angle of the series today. Andy Strickland covering the Blues coming up at the bottom of the hour. And then Mike McIntyre a little bit later on. We are certainly not going to forget about Saturday, though. Here's some of the coach and player reaction right off the top. And then as we get into the game or into the show, we'll also hear a little bit more from Scott Arniel from this morning, setting up tonight's game number 2. Of course, we've also got a lot of action in and around the National Hockey League. It's a busy night tonight. We'll hit this on the Coolbet lines a little bit later on, but Game 2 between the Avalanche and the Dallas Stars goes tonight as well. And then a couple series get going. Montreal and Washington early, and then the Edmonton Oilers and the LA Kings late. So 4 games tonight. Still 3 series yet to go. We don't even get Game 1 of Tampa, Florida until tomorrow. A little more, a bit of a spread out first round, but tell you what, that is just fine. I'm actually loving the way that we're going to have a full slate of hockey every night for the foreseeable future. 4 games tonight, but the one that we are all going to be focused on, the puck drops at 6:30 downtown at the Canada Life Center. Listen, just before we bring in Michael Remis, huge thanks to all the sponsors that make the show happen each and every day. Welcome aboard, fan favorite KFC, of course, Prairie Toyota dealers, Coolbet Canada, Princess Auto, Let's Do It Travel, Aikens Lake, F Apparel, Manitoba Battery, St. Vital Dental Center, Canadian Club, Rollies Transfer, Royal Sports, busiest store in the world these days, Boston Pizza, Little Brown Jug, of course, Breezy Bed. We will get to a why not question of the day for not Autocorp, but Waverly and McGillivray, and get some fan feedback for our friends at fansfirst.ca. Welcome to everybody in chat. I hope your weekend was as good as mine. Hit that thumbs up button. If you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and turn those notifications on, because we have so much additional content right now cranking out at Winnipeg Sports Talk. Huge numbies for the gang on the weekend. Elliot Friedman jumped on for a bit with Jacob Liss and, of course, Connor Rabchak on WST Sunday Live. Make sure to check that out if you haven't already seen it. And we've got post-game coverage as well from the rink. Connor and Remis looking resplendent in their suits from F Apparel. We'll fire it up after the game tonight, and that'll be available for you later on this evening after KNR, or in the morning if you just want a little bit more from last night's game. So, but as I said, if you turn the notifications on, you'll know when new stuff is up on the WST feed. And as I mentioned, there is a lot of it right now. Remo, what's up? How about that scene in the whiteout on Saturday night?
Yeah, it was incredible. It felt right, Hustler, being back in springtime, in the whiteout, walking in, just good feeling all around. Everyone knows the drill here. It's not one of those whiteouts where they put T-shirts on the seat and you have to put them on. Everyone's coming dressed in white, making noise, and the production at the game. I mean, I love having the band there, them hyping the crowd up with the countdown before they come out onto the ice. The street party, it's all so well done. Everyone's so loud, so fired up. It's incredible, and we're here finally, playoff hockey after pretty much a year, I think, of waiting to get back to this and see how the Jets would perform. I think maybe a little nerves to start the game, but once they got settled in, it looked a lot like that game was a couple weeks ago here on Prime Monday against the Blues, and the Blues really had nothing there for the last 25 minutes of the game. Didn't have the puck, didn't have shots on goal, didn't have scoring chances, and it was the Jets stars stepping up and Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor delivering the go-ahead goal in the final few minutes of the third period. Then Adam Lowry iced it. Made for a great night. Was very nervous there for a little. They started up here when Hellebuyck was introduced with the MVP chants.
Dude, and then, that was a moment. Yeah. That was such a great moment. And Hellebuyck after the game, obviously happy that they won. He's got another gear, I think, that we'll see hopefully tonight. But he mentioned that scene beforehand with the MVP chants was something that he'll never forget for the rest of his life. And that was organic. There was no prompt on the screen or anything like that. And that was the loudest MVP chant I have ever heard. Like every single person in the building, minus the people in the press box, and there might have even been a few up there getting involved as well, cranking it out for him. Listen, we should start with Hellebuyck because, listen, there's this narrative that Hellebuyck hasn't been good in the playoffs, which, is fake news if you look at his entire body of work, but he'd be the first one to admit, as would the team, that no one was maybe up to the standard in the last two playoff series. And for Robert Thomas to score that goal early on, I think that gave, some people, there was some consternation in and around the building. And let's face it, 3 of the first 10 shots went in on Helly, and that is not a Hellebuyck standard. Now, if you break it down, the Robert Thomas shot was absolutely all world, although I think you probably would have liked to maybe be a little bit further out of his net to prevent that from being possible. Was it Sundqvist that got the second one? That was just one of those weird playoff goals. Luke Schenn does a great job to get his foot and leg in front of a puck. It bounces basically directly out into the slot. He whacks at his stick, misses it right onto Sundqvist, all alone in front of the net. He roofed it. Unfortunate play, great finish. You move on. And then Cairo on the playoff. Now Hellebuyck was somewhat screened. It was a perfect shot. But I'll tell you what, Remis, as ugly as maybe the first half of the game went for Helly, to me, maybe the turning point in the entire game was his save on Jordan Kyrie's breakaway. And Kyrie's got blazing speed. He caught Dylan Sandberg flat-footed and burned him and went in all alone. And I really do think that if that goal goes in and makes it 4-2 St. Louis, we could be having a very different conversation today. But Hellebuyck did what he had to do to keep his team in the game. And from there on in, the Winnipeg Jets absolutely dominated in a fashion that, to your example, was very reminiscent of April 3rd when the Jets held the St. Louis Blues to 15 shots for the entire game. And I'm not sure what's more impressive. The 3 goals in the third period or the fact that the St. Louis Blues only had 2 shots. That was Winnipeg Jets hockey. That was the blueprint, especially without Nikolai Ehlers and without Gabriel Velarde. And there's so much to build on the momentum that they created with that third period going into tonight.
Yeah, throughout that game, I had so many flashbacks. Has flashbacks to Game 1 in 2018 against Minnesota, how you get the go-ahead goal late in the third. Flashbacks just while seeing the Blues on the ice. Remind me of the last time these two teams played in the playoffs in Winnipeg. And, flashbacks to last year against Colorado, where the Winnipeg Jets did not play to their structure and gave up odd man rushes. And you were in a 7-6 game. After the first period, I was like, are we going to see this again? And then you see Colorado did throughout that entire series, and you weren't really sure what you were going to see. But I thought, maybe starting with 5 minutes into the second period, the Jets were able to find their game and really hone it down towards the end and continue it on to the third period, where they had chance after chance. And Kyle Connor had a very similar shot at the start of a power play in the beginning of the third that Binnington robbed him, but he didn't get him the second time after Mark Scheifele and him connected following a face-off off an icing. So I think there were certainly some nerves heading in. St. Louis came out really hot. The hits in the first period, I forget, I got to check my notes. It was like 35-14 or something, and the Blues did not have as many hits as they had in the first period, and the two combined. And for them, they're going to have to try to keep that up throughout the game, kind of threw the Jets off. But, hey, they were able to find the game. One thing, too, we should mention penalties playing a factor. The Blues scored 2 of their goals on the power play and 3 opportunities. The Jets had 4 opportunities. They scored 1. I promised myself coming into the playoffs that I was not going to overreact to any calls. That it's going to be bad. It seems to get a lot of opinion in other series. I see Minnesota fans not happy, Ottawa fans not happy with the officiating. It's going to be inconsistent. It's going to be terrible. And you're just going to have to work to overcome it. And you could waste a lot of time here discussing that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not go crazy on the refs guy. I never have been. I get it. There's going to be calls that as a fans you're going to hate. What just was surprising to me was like where they were trying to put the level and establish the level for what is called. I mean, hell, the Luke Shen penalty, like the first penalty of the series that set the Blues up for that power play goal that Robert Thomas scored. I don't know, am I crazy? That happens 60 times a game. I mean, the neighbor's penalty was as chintzy as they come. And then the Pionk penalty, I mean, I put the guy in a bit of a headlock, but I mean, with everything else going on there, you're just going to pull him out? I don't know. It was surprising. I guess, and people that have officiated before, NHL referees will say they're trying to set somewhat of a standard. I thought the standard was maybe a little bit much. But hey, you can't control that. You got to deal with that. And the Jets, I'm sure, through preparation for this game and the rest of the series, you're going to need to tighten up on the PK. That's just, I mean, special teams is going to be big. And, St. Louis made the most of those advantages and gave themselves a very good chance to win the hockey game. But then back to 5-on-5, the Jets absolutely manhandled St. Louis in the second half of that hockey game, and particularly the third period. And we're able to escape with the victory. I'm not sure. Like it'd be very interesting tonight to see how this game is officiated, Remis, and if we see a different level, if you will. Maybe some of those things that traditionally get let go will be that. And I really don't know whether that will be the case or not. But I think what's going to be very important is for the Jets in particular to react accordingly and understand what the standard is from the officials, because the bottom line is if this team can stay out of the penalty box and keep going at 5-on-5, they have been the better team in the last 120 minutes against the St. Louis Blues. And if they continue to do that, they should be just fine at the end of this best of 7.
Yeah, I'm trying not to lose my mind on official, but it was both ways. I mean, that Shen interference was, you you didn't know what that was. The neighbors slash and call, and we had Blues fans in our comments saying that penalty was a joke. And I said, yeah, I would agree. I don't think he did anything. Pionk put a guy in a headlock. I think Stan did that later in the game, and they didn't call it. So it's going to be inconsistent. Like, I thought, but I did think the Blues were undisciplined. Like, I don't know what Nick Leddy's doing, tripping Nemestikov going into the corner with 10 seconds left in the period, or what Zach Bolduc doing cross-checking, getting involved with Alex Iafallo, and did that lead to the end of period shenanigans there with guys, dropping the gloves and helmets getting ripped off? So I think it's going to be a factor that's going to be inconsistent. There's going to be makeup calls. That's playoff hockey. I'm not going to try not to get mad, but it's pretty easy to. And every series it's something every series is talking about. We went through it last year against Colorado. That's just what it is. It's a hard game. I don't even know. I'm done.
Hey, listen, I think we all agree that Hellebuck's got another level. I think we'll see that tonight. But man, Jets top players. I mean, Mark Scheifele, KFC, Morrissey. I mean, big games from those individuals. And I mean, you mentioned the goal, the winning goal. A set play. I can't remember who I was listening to on the weekend said that is a play that kind of really originates with Connor McDavid, where the centerman wins the draw, darts behind the net and around to the corner to receive the pass. And then you saw it, like, I mean, we've probably watched that goal 50 times now, like many of you. The minute Scheifele gets the puck around there in the corner, Kyle knows exactly what's happening and just starts backing up into that shooting position. And, hey, Binnington made a great save on Kyle earlier in the game on the power play to stop it. Wasn't able to do it on the second time, and that was the winner. And listen, we can't talk about those two without talking about Iafallo. What a week AI had. New contract, massive goal in the third period to tie the game. And then, as you mentioned, it did get a little rough there at the end. And AI with some ground and pound, I think, on neighbors, just holding him down. It was quite the scene. So we're going to get to some of the comments from the coach and some of the players coming out. As I mentioned, Andy Strickland is going to join us coming up in about 10 minutes or less. But hey, let me shout out our friends at Rolly's Transfer for their great support of Winnipeg Sports Talk. Folks, if you got a move coming up, use our friends at Rolly's, family owned and operated for over 60 years and the most trusted name in moving in Manitoba. Hit up their website at rollys.com. Top right corner, you'll see request an estimate. Put in the promo code WST for a special discount on moving services and supplies, and let them know when and where you're moving and what needs to go. And the friendly staff at Rolly's will turn it around quick with a great quote and get you locked in for the white glove treatment and service that Rolly's is famous for. For your next move, use our friends at Rolly's Transfer, great supporters of Winnipeg Sports Talk. You might even get the WST truck as well for that move. Find out more, request an estimate today over at rollys.com. It was great to see our pal Dr. Terry from St. Vital Dental Center and his wife all whited up going into the game. He was all fired up beforehand, and I'm sure Terry and all the Jet fans at St. Vital Dental Center are ready for tonight as well. Well, we're talking about a white out. If you're looking to get white teeth, you got to go in for cleanings, people. And St. Vital Dental Center has been serving Winnipeggers and Manitobans for generations. They've got a beautiful new spot at 167 St. Anne's, state-of-the-art equipment, a phenomenal staff of smiling faces. So for all your dental needs, check out our friends at St. Vital Dental Center. Free parking right behind the building, conveniently located in Old St. Vital at 167 St. Anne's. Find out more, make an appointment with Dr. Terry and the gang down at St. Vital Dental Center at 167 St. Anne's. Online, stvitaldental.ca. I know there is a few Canadian clubs being cheered around downtown Winnipeg on the weekend. What a scene that was after the game. Folks, if you are looking for, if you're a whiskey fan, we know we're keeping it Canadian. Why not go with the original, the standard Canadian club since 1848? Your official spirit of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Will be getting to that in not too long at Princess Auto Stadium. But in the meantime, pop by, get the best Canada has to offer at your local Manitoba liquor marts. Canadian Club 100% Rye, Canadian Club Classic, all available for you today. And hey, Donnie and the gang at Manitoba Battery, I know we're fired up. A lot of Jet fans there in the Manitoba Battery offices. 2 locations, Logan Avenue and Dovercourt Drive. Well, this is where you can shop local, get the best in product and service, save money beating the pants off the big box stores. I'll tell you what, I know we're busy working and getting ready for these hockey games. You might need batteries for a variety of things. They'll deliver it to you for free anywhere inside the perimeter of the city of Winnipeg for any purchase over $60. It is just that easy. They do have the special right now in the AC Delco, all sizes, only $149.50 with core exchange. Give them a call today or order online at Manitoba Battery. Keep it local. Save money with Manitoba Battery and manitobabattery.com. All right, we are going to have Andy Strickland come and join us right away, but let's hear what the coach, Scott Arniel, had to say after the team's stirring big Game 1 comeback victory in the White House downtown. Here's Arnie on Game 1.
Thought the first period we looked real nervous. Just kind of trying to find our way, kept going, and built it up in the second, but then, stuck with it and really played well in the third. But, we had talked about as a group that, you don't know how long these games are going to last. They could, go be 3 periods, or they could go into overtime. You have to stay in the moment. And I thought we did a really good job of, that first period. It was a little bit wacky. And we were a little bit sloppy, and then all of a sudden, the second period, we started to do some things that we had talked about, got some zone time, started to create chances, and then it kind of built towards that third, and it was a real good third period.
A good third period, understatement by Scott Arniel's club. Let me put this out to you. Why not question of the day for not Autocorp at Waverly and McGillivray? How many of you thought that game was destined to go to overtime? I mean, listen, at the start of the third period, we all would have taken overtime because, of course, the Jets were trailing. And it did sort of feel like that was a game that we maybe were going to have some very frayed nerves and go an extra period or two. Wasn't the case, though, thanks to Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor, who combined on that big goal at the end of the game. And here's Arniel on whether he felt like it was a matter of time before KC got on the scoreboard in Game 1.
That's one thing about, the best players or the top players, especially offensive guys. They have a knack for finding holes, for finding ice. I thought KC had a lot of puck possession in the second period. He didn't get that shot off a few times, and just felt in the third he really got in his head that he was going to fire pucks. Bennington made a heck of a stop on the one, that's one thing about KC. He'll continue to shoot pucks and continue to grind to find those holes.
Yes, some high praise for one Kyle F. Connor, who had the winning goal. It was interesting to see the line not as much juggling, but the matchups that Arniel was throwing out. I mean, we saw a lot of the fourth line started. You saw Stan and Shen out there early on against the Faxa line. We saw a lot of Adam Lowry. But here's Arnie on matching the top line with the Blues top line.
Yeah, they've had it a couple times this year already, so it wasn't like they hadn't had it before. But again, that's a real good line in the St. Louis side as well, and real dangerous. But that's part of kind of what we have talked about all year long about no matter who you are, there's a way to play without the puck, and the buy-in that we've gotten from our top guys has obviously helped us have success defensively. And that was a good match. They had some looks. That line had some looks, obviously, and but that's what it's going to be. They're going to have to do it. Could be possibly 7 more or 6 more times. So, when you go head-to-head against top players, you have to be at your best.
So there's head coach Scott Arniel after the big Game 1 victory on Saturday night. Now, Kyle Connor was the game-winning hero on that beautiful pass from Scheifele. They seemed to get better as the game went on. Here's Kyle Connor on just sticking with the process throughout a very tough Game 1.
Yeah, you just got to stick with it, stay positive, knowing that you're doing the right things, getting the chances. And, a lot of plays like those cross-ice plays, or even the one Fetz hit me on the power play. Usually I'm trying to get that off as quick as possible. A lot of holes in the goaltenders if you can. And, it was obviously a great play by Scheif, and just try to get off quick.
All right, so here's Kyle Connor on that one. We got one more from Kyle Connor, and then Andy Strickland's going to jump on with us here on the program. Here's Kyle Connor on just how they found their game and played the way they did, particularly in that third period.
Yeah, I thought, the first period, it was, I don't know what it was, but kind of feeling out for both teams. And I really thought in the second period we got to our game, like you said. That's Winnipeg Jet hockey, where you're rolling around the O zone, getting possession, early changes, getting the next line out there and keep doing it, hemming teams in. And, the rush really wasn't there. I thought they did a great job of their F3. Obviously we talked about that, and they didn't want to give anything up. So just getting to a neutral zone, being simple, the play's there. If not, make those deep turn and get it back on the forecheck.
All right, so there's Kyle Connor. You know and love him as KFC. And what a perfect little segue, folks, because we're excited to bring on KFC Canada, a Winnipeg fan favorite, as a playoff partner on Winnipeg Sports Talk. KFC Canada is an official partner of the Winnipeg Jets, is committed to providing Jet fans a delicious game day experience with exclusive finger-licking good promotions we're proud to bring to the Canada Life Centre. You can get the world-famous KFC chicken fingers and fries in the building now. But also on Jets game days, KFC Canada is giving away their amazing Big Crunch chicken sandwich for just $4.95 at participating Winnipeg KFC locations to help Jet fans enjoy the game with a big hit. And word on the street is a certain someone dressed in full white might actually be showing up tonight at the game. Not 100% confirmed, but keep an eye out for this individual at the game. And if you're at the game, make sure to check out the new KFC offerings within Canada Life Centre. Great to have KFC on board. All right, let's get down to business right now and welcome in Blues broadcaster and one half of the Cam and Strick podcast, Andy Strickland, to Winnipeg Sports Talk. Andy, thanks so much for doing this. How are you?
I can't complain whatsoever. Life is good. Everything's good. And you're making me hungry with all this KFC talk, though. Let's bring KFC to the States here for the Cam and Strick podcast. We need some KFC as well, man. Share your chicken. But I'm looking forward to game 2 tonight, man, in Winnipeg. It should be another great one.
Yeah, it was, what a scene and what a way for the NHL just to start the Stanley Cup playoffs. Being in and around downtown Winnipeg on Saturday, there's nothing like the excitement of playoff hockey. And in a market like this, after a season that the team has had, everyone was ready to bring it. But as we saw right out of the gate, the St. Louis Blues were ready to bring it to the Winnipeg Jets. A really great start for the Blues. But as the game went on, it looked more and more like that game on April 3rd that the Jets really controlled. What are your big takeaways from the Blues side of things based on what we saw in game 1, Andy?
Well, listen, there's a lot of things to be happy with. The fact that they were in the game, it was a tie game with a minute and a half to go in the game. So, you're right there with a chance to win it. They feel like they were able to get to Connor Hellebuck. Obviously, so much of the storyline coming into the series is going to be about Winnipeg's goaltender, but they know they need to have more action in front of Hellebuck and get more shots on goal and find ways to generate and create more scoring chances and shots on goal. And, I felt like the Blues maybe sat back a little bit and they kind of played into the hands of Winnipeg. Listen, when the Blues are at their best, they're a forechecking team. And that's how they create a lot of their scoring chances, is off the forecheck versus being a rush team, which you see from a lot of these teams that have success in the regular season and some of the top teams in the league right now. These are more rush teams. The Blues are a forechecking team. Not exactly what we've seen from the team the last couple of years, but it certainly led to them making the playoffs. They got to get back to their identity, make things harder on Connor Hellebuck, stay out of the penalty box. There's no question about that, even though they just gave up the one power play goal. But they understand that the number of shots they had on goal, it's not enough. They need more offensively.
Andy, you mentioned the calls. I mean, with your experience, I'm interested in your take. I mean, I thought the Shen penalty, the Neighbors penalty, the Pionk penalty, I mean, those 3 earlier penalties, 2 on Winnipeg, 1 on St. Louis, all were a little bit surprising. Is this a game one sort of trying to establish a level to keep things down, or was that just some guys that maybe were a little antsy to grab the whistle?
I think it's a little bit of both, probably, but probably them being a little bit antsy. I mean, hey, these referees are human too. They get up for the playoffs. It's their big moment. They're on the stage. They want to make sure they come in. They have a good game. We saw the Ottawa-Toronto game last night. Some questionable calls, but certainly the referees played a role in that one. Although, Ottawa, needs to be, be more disciplined. We can all say that in terms of last night's game. But, every game takes on a life of its own. And I don't think there's necessarily a carryover, certainly from the officiating, from what we saw in game one here into game two. The Blues obviously, did some good things on the PK. They gave up the 1 power play goal. They can't allow that to happen. But they got to be happy with their own power play. Their power play was sharp down the stretch. And a couple of careless plays by Winnipeg led to some chances offensively for the Blues where they were just turning pucks over inside their own end. And that's what you want to do. You want to make teams pay when they make mistakes like that. St. Louis did that. But the last thing they can worry about coming into tonight's game is the officiating. They got to find a way to win a game in Winnipeg. Only once out of 18 tries in the Blues history have they gone down 2-0 in a series and come back and win the series. And that was all the way back in like the late 70s when they did that. History is not on their side. If they don't win tonight, then they got to find a way to get to Connor Hellebuck.
Andy Strickland with us on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Be sure to check out Cam and Strick wherever you get our program and your favorite pods. What was Monty's reaction? I mean, I think there's probably a lot of good that he liked what his team did. Obviously, didn't like the result and the way that ended. I mean, what was his reaction? What do you think he'll be pounding into his team's heads to focus on when the puck drops tonight?
Well, you want to be able to control the blue paint at both ends of the ice. And I thought Winnipeg won that area of the game in game one. You look at a couple of the goals they scored, they were right around the blue paint, even though maybe a bad bounce in terms of the Scheifele goal on the power play. But even the Iafallo goal, I mean, those are areas of the ice typically the Blues really command and, dominate, to be honest with you, with the way they've defended this past season, especially when you have big bodies like Colton Parayko. There was some focus on, a couple of guys playing in their first playoff game. You saw the undisciplined penalty from Zachary Bolduc. We all know you can't have that, even though Winnipeg didn't score on the power play. It just changes things when you're forced to, when you're in the game and then you're forced to kill off a penalty on the road. Whether you believe it or not, it can give them some momentum, even if they don't score. Iafallo ends up getting the next goal. So you don't want to do that. But the focus really, honestly, for the Blues, should be on a couple other veteran players. They need better play from Parayko. Fowler needs to be better. Braden Shen can certainly be better than what we saw from him in game one. And so, listen, I'm sure that's the message behind closed doors. Monty may not come out and give the media that message, but in terms of, how he's communicating with his team, he knows he needs his experienced guys to drive the bus and lead the way. They've got to be better in game two than where they were the other night over the weekend.
Andy, the big boys all came up and stepped up. I mean, Robert Thomas scored, Jordan Kyrou scored, Kyle Connor scored, Mark Scheifele scored. Now, the Blues' 2 goals by those guys were on the power play. And, I mean, the special teams is sort of a battle within the series that is going to be really important. But at 5-on-5, we heard from Scott Arniel afterwards, like he's gone with best on best before. What did you make of the 5-on-5 matchup between the Thomas line and the Scheifele line? And how that might translate into tonight's game, knowing that there's a good chance that they'll continue to be matched up head to head.
Yeah, I would imagine that's going to stay the same. And listen, that kind of plays into the Blues' favor too. That's exactly what they want. You know what I mean? They don't mind playing Robert Thomas toe-to-toe against Scheifele. He's been going up against the other team's top centers really all season long. And he's won the majority of those matchups when you look at how he's played over the course of the season. He had a great year. He missed a number of games with injury, but, he was their best player down the stretch. A big part of the reason as to why the Blues got into the playoffs, a big part of their 12-game winning streak. He's on a 13-game scoring streak for him personally when you go back to the regular season and combine that with what we saw in Game 1. So I don't think they have a problem with that at all. They want to make sure, obviously, they win their matchup. I think they're more concerned about who's on the ice defensively when Scheifele and Connor are on the ice. They're going to want, Parayko and Fowler on the ice against that line as much as possible. Because I don't think they're afraid to have the Schenn line go up against Scheifele and Connor as well. Although, it's probably not the best matchup when you look at, Kyrou, for example, who's playing on the wing with Schenn. I think that's probably, an area that they feel more comfortable with Buchnevich and Thomas, just in terms of their two-way responsibility and two-way ability. But they don't worry about that whatsoever. I think it's more about what defensemen they're getting on the ice when Winnipeg's best players are out there.
What did you think of Buchnevich in Game 1?
A little bit quiet. He knows he's going to have to be better. A little uncharacteristic. I think one of his first shifts, he launched at Mark Scheifele. He got a piece of him, but he came out obviously with a lot of energy from that standpoint. The last thing they need from any of these guys, but including Buchnevich, is to get away from what they do best, which is be a puck possession guy, be a disruptor in the defensive end. The quick puck movement, the ability to see plays before they happen, make plays, contribute offensively. That's what they need from him, especially if the other line is going for the Winnipeg Jets. If their best players are going, they're going to need the Thomas line to be able to match that, specifically 5-on-5. But, Buchnevich, he finished the season so strong. I think he had goals in 4 of his last 5 games or whatever it was to get to 20 goals on the season. He played much of the beginning of the year playing out of position before they made a coaching change. He was playing center. That probably led to his production being down a little bit. He was injured early in the year. But Buchnevich has game. We all know that. He can be better than what he was in Game 1.
One interesting note about the lineup tonight, it looks like Neighbors and Snuggerud are going to swap spots between line 1 and line 2. What do you think Monty's trying to get out of that?
Listen, they need more offense, and they feel like Snuggerud, maybe will be in position to create more playing with Thomas. Thomas is a passer. Snuggerud's a shooter. In his brief time in the National Hockey League, we haven't seen him really, truly, consistently get that shot off. I think he had, one shot attempt the other night where maybe he looked a little bit dangerous. Hellebuck was able to make an easy save. I don't know if the puck was going to go wide. It was from a sharp angle, and Snuggerud was able to get a shot off. But, listen, Jim Montgomery will make some in-game adjustments too. Put a little bit of a heavier body on the same line with Schenn, with Neighbors, maybe, have them get in on the forecheck and disrupt things from that standpoint, maybe create some turnovers, and then, utilize, Kyrou's ability to score from, the slot area. But those are interchangeable. We'll see what happens with Snuggerud as the game goes on. They also have Zachary Bolduc, who they can slide up the lineup if necessary. But this is not out of the characteristic of a guy like Jim Montgomery. He likes to put his lines into a blender. He's not afraid to do so, especially after a loss. So it wasn't a big surprise. We'll see if the lines finish the way they start here tonight.
Yeah, that, that can always change depending on the way the game is going. The one thing that actually did change quite a bit, speaking of, things starting one way and ending up another, was just how physical the Blues were in the third period, or in the first period, I should say. I mean, they came out, Andy, and they were hitting everything. Was that just a level that's tough to maintain throughout, or did the Jets do something that maybe prevented the Blues from being as aggressive on the forecheck with as many hits as they did, lighten up the numbers for the first period in particular?
Listen, I think they were physical in the first period. I mean, you just never know. Some buildings you play in, I mean, whoever's keeping track of the hits, I mean, he must have had a few extra coffees that game, and his finger is just, hitting the button. Oh my, there's another hit. It's another hit. It's another hit. He's just going crazy. So, I mean, listen, you want to play under control, and that's the key, especially on the road in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Mature teams typically do that. Now, Braden Shen had like 7 hits in the first period, too. Maybe even 8 hits. Finished with 9 hits in the game. As long as you're not going out of your way to chase hits, then and you can stay within your structure and you're not getting beat going down the other end of the ice and giving up odd man chances against and breakaways and whatnot. It was the Blues. Kyrou is the one who had a breakaway in the game. Then I think you're in an okay situation. But listen, it's game 1. Guys are going to be juiced up. They're on the road. It's a unique atmosphere in Winnipeg, an atmosphere you don't get in every building with the whiteout and just how excited everybody there is in Manitoba. So, listen, adrenaline probably takes over, and they were very physical. But the Blues had the 6th most hits in the league this season among all teams in the NHL. They're a physical team to begin with. I wouldn't expect to see those type of numbers game in and game out. But I don't mind it as long as they're not chasing hits and going out of your way to make hits. And I think if the situation presents itself, go ahead and get a piece of skin, as Steve Out likes to say.
Andy, obviously the third period was all Winnipeg, and the Blues only got 2 shots on goal. We look back to the game a couple weeks ago when they were on that 12-game winning streak. They had 15 for the entire game.
Yeah.
What does St. Louis need to do to prevent the ice being tilted the way that it was in crunch time in game 1?
Well, you got to sustain your energy too. I mean, it goes back to chasing hits. When you're running around trying to hit everything in sight, that uses up a lot of energy too. And they look like they ran out of gas a little bit. Even that 12-game winning streak, the game that they lost in Winnipeg, and again, it was a 1-goal game. I think Lowry got the empty netter in that one too, with like 9 seconds to go in the game. So, they were still in the game, even though they didn't have their best and they only had 15, 16, 17 shots on goal, whatever it was. So, listen, it gets back to what I was saying, just in terms of, the ability to get out of your zone, and try to counter and create some type of rush attack, but also getting pucks in deep and sustaining some offensive zone time, not sitting back, being aggressive in the offensive zone, to where you're, on your toes and you're truly getting in on the forecheck and you're disrupting things for Winnipeg in the offensive zone and creating some turnovers with your forecheck. And then, keeping the puck there and getting good changes so when the next line comes out, they're in a good spot and the puck's in the offensive end. And obviously, maybe generating some more power play chances and shooting the puck when you get an opportunity. I thought there were times where maybe the Blues passed up some ability to shoot. They missed the net. But I want to say they only had like 35, 36 shot attempts in the game. I think that's the second fewest they had all season. So they know that's not going to cut it. But you got to give Winnipeg a lot of credit. I mean, for as good as Hellebuck is, and he wasn't great in game 1. I mean, he got beat 3 times up top. And, I'm reading all these stats. I mean, his stats are unbelievable. This guy's going to win the Hart Trophy too, right? Not just the Vezina. He's probably going to win the Hart. 8 shutouts and I think 27 games this season. He allowed 1 goal or fewer in 27 of them. I mean, just a crazy, crazy stat. We haven't seen against St. Louis him be that guy, and even in the Four Nations, hadn't seen him be that guy where he's had to steal a game. I think they want to force Hellebuck to have to be the difference and have to steal a game for them to beat the St. Louis Blues. When you're going up against a goaltender like that and you're forcing him to only make, 15, 16, 17 shots in a game, and he's still allowing 3 goals in that game, you can beat the goaltender. But they got to put way more volume of shots on Connor Hellebuck and try to find a way to get to 4 goals, because it may take 4 goals to win a game against Winnipeg.
Well, and that, to be honest, I mean, seeing the way the game started, and I mean, listen, the Robert Thomas shot was literally perfect. I mean, they made the most of kind of a weird block shot off Luke Shen, Sundqvist, bang, top of the net. And the Kyrou was, I thought taking advantage of a great screen, but again, I mean, he placed it absolutely perfectly. When you score 3 on your first 10 on Connor Hellebuck, you got to feel like this is your game to win. It does feel like maybe a little bit of a missed opportunity for the Blues. You don't know whether that is going to be there in future games, but on the other side of that is Jordan Binnington. And I'm interested in your thoughts about Binner, who can run hot as anyone. Didn't seem like he was at that level in game number 1.
No. And listen, you never go into a game with Jordan Binnington as your goalie where you feel like you're at a disadvantage, no matter how great the goalie is at the other end. And listen, I like Hellebuck a lot. He's not Dominic Hasek, though. You know what I mean? Like, let's be real here. He's not Marty Brodeur. He's not Patrick Waugh. He's got great numbers, and but he's never shown the ability to get it done in the playoffs. And until he does, I think those are going to continue to be question marks. And he's going to continue to feel that internally. He's going to hear about it. And Binnington knows that in order for the Blues to win this series, he's got to be better than Hellebuck. He wasn't better than Hellebuck in game 1, even though Hellebuck wasn't at his best. So I think that's a positive for Winnipeg to say, hey, we got the victory in game 1 without Hellebuck having to stand on his head or be the difference in the game. But they got to be really pleased with how they're playing defensively and just the limited number of shot attempts and shots that he's seeing. But Binnington, I mean, you can't fault him on the game winner, right, from Kyle Connor. It's an unbelievable pass and shot. But I'm sure the Scheifele one, obviously, it bounces off of, Ryan Suter right there in front. Hard to blame him there. The Iafallo one is one that he would certainly want back. There's no question about that, especially right in and around the blue paint. They got to defend that better. But those are situations where the goalie obviously is paid to make those saves, and he didn't come up with it in that situation. But, if there ever is a goaltender who can rebound, who's resilient, who's confident, I mean, it certainly would be Jordan Binnington. But that is a lost opportunity, in my opinion, for St. Louis in the series to get 3 goals on Hellebuck as early as they did and not find a way to put more pressure on him and ultimately win the game.
Andy, listen, you set out on the road when you are the lower seed and the hope that you come back with a split. That is still very much there. But how high are the stakes for the Blues in this series, in this game 2 tonight, considering the history and just how difficult it is to beat a team like the Winnipeg Jets 4 times in 5 games?
Well, they're the President's Trophy winner, right? They won the most difficult division in hockey. They were the best team in the division from the beginning of the season. They got off to a red-hot start. They were able to hold off Dallas. I mean, you look at how Winnipeg played in the head-to-head matchups down the stretch against Dallas. Super impressive. They're the best team in the league, statistically. They give up the fewest number of goals against. They got the best power play. They score a ton of goals, and they're still missing 2 of their best forwards, too. So you have to take advantage, especially without Velarde coming back into the lineup, too, right? He's not playing tonight, correct? I mean, is that what you're
he's
hearing?
Still in a non-contact jersey. I mean, I think that, if we're talking about Velarde, maybe game 4. But I think with the extended break, like the 2 days between these games, if I had to bet, I would maybe say game 5 we might see Velarde.
Yeah. So, and again, the Blues don't have Dylan Holloway either, who's a big part of it. I mean, you mentioned
Huge.
12 games, but this guy was so important to how they play, the pace that they play with, the relentlessness on the puck. Talk about the forecheck. This guy is so good and so young. He's got a lot of potential, and he's only going to get better moving forward. But to get back to your question, the Blues can't afford to. And I know that people say, well, you're never out of a series until you lose at home and all of that. In theory, I guess that's correct. Dallas proved that last season against Vegas. They were down 2-0 in the series and came back and won in 7 games. This is a different animal. Those 2 teams were much more evenly matched. There's no question that Winnipeg is the better team. Now, the Blues can't afford to go down 2-0, in my opinion. That would be a really, really steep hill to climb. Doesn't mean they couldn't get back into the series, but to win 4 or 5 against this team, against that goalie, even though we're waiting for him to stand on his head and live up to that reputation and the hype that surrounds him in the playoffs, I wouldn't want to be in that spot. I know the Blues don't want to be in that spot. They can't afford to lose tonight.
Yeah, I will say this in Hellebuck's defense. I mean, listen, those were some great shots. And I thought the save on the breakaway on Kyrou was maybe
Huge.
the biggest play in the game from the Winnipeg situation. Like, if that goes in, Andy, I said to Michael at the start of the show,
out.
we might be having a very different conversation. And the weekend around this city would have been far less fun than it was after game number one. And listen, he's taken this team to the conference finals before. I mean, swept Edmonton and won 3 overtime games, including a triple OT game. So it's not like he's always sucked in the playoffs. If you look at last year in the Colorado series, I mean, everything was off, and it wasn't starting with the goaltender. But he does have something to prove. I don't think there's any doubt about it. And certainly from a Jets standpoint, that save, and then, to be honest, the team took care of the rest. I mean, he wasn't really tested from after that. But you got to give your team a chance to win. He did that, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is a far lower scoring game. I mean, I don't think anybody saw that much action on the red lights between these two teams early on in the series.
No, and Colorado, I mean, they play a much more frenetic game. I mean, it's just counter after counter, odd man rush. Yeah. I mean, they're playing at 1,000 miles an hour, and Winnipeg has the skaters that can skate with them, really, and play that style and go up and down the ice. But you're right, the Kyrou save was enormous. If that goes in, then there's a good chance we're talking about the Blues being up 1-0 versus Winnipeg being up 1-0. So, listen, every game takes on a life of its own. Whatever happened in the previous game, throw that out the window, turn the page. This is a completely new series starting tonight for both teams. You can't just go by what you saw in the previous games. Things are going to change with every game. You know that.
Yeah, no kidding. Andy, how about just quickly on the way out, just thoughts on Dallas, Colorado? I actually felt sorry for Dallas after that first game. I thought they were right there. I thought they were playing really well. And then the most bizarre goal I've maybe ever seen, the perfect kick into the top corner that wasn't a kick. You got a knuckler in, it's 2-0. And then, obviously Hintz got the one goal, but they came right back. It doesn't seem to be going Dallas's way right now after a great season, and that Colorado team is scary when they get going. What did you think of game one, and who do you expect to come out of this series?
Well, I picked Colorado going into the series. I mean, Dallas, it's just tough. When you lose your last 7 games of the regular season, when you get thumped by teams like Nashville, Pittsburgh, teams that are obviously out of the playoff picture and just in how they lost those games, I just didn't. And Colorado getting a little bit of juice, even though they haven't gotten Landeskog back, Landeskog, their captain, knowing that, he's around the team now and he's skating. I just think that's given them a little bit of energy. If Blackwood's going to play the way that he did in game one, obviously they're going to be in good shape. I would agree with you. I thought Dallas played fine. And it's not like they played bad. But again, fine is not going to cut it against the Colorado Avalanche. They've got to be much better. They've lost 8 straight now. Talk about the Dallas Stars. They got to be questioning themselves internally. They've got some injuries, not having Jason Robertson. Even though you get Sagan back, you don't have Haskin, and it's just tough when you're not playing with your full complementary of players. But, they're good enough to get back in it. They need Ottinger to be the difference, though.
Andy, this has been so much fun having you on the program. Can't wait for the game tonight. Fill people in on what the Cam and Strick podcast has cooking for the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yeah, we're going to drop a new episode tomorrow. We had Mike Johnson on today, so kicked around a lot of different things around the league. Wanted to keep it more about the playoffs. And, even in between episodes, Cam and I are going to have a lot of content. Trying our best to stay up to date with reaction to all the games that are taking place around the NHL. So we've had over 330 episodes, all the big names in the history of the game who have jumped on with us. Great conversations. We have a lot of fun. Cam and I have a lot of fun, shooting the before we even go to the interview. So hope everybody can check it out, and hope everybody looks forward to a series here. I don't know what to expect, to be honest with you. Big game tonight, like I said, before the series shifts back to St. Louis. So I'm looking forward to games 3 and 4 for sure.
Andy, thanks for doing this, pal. Let's stay in touch and do this again.
Anytime. You guys take care. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much. There's Andy Strickland, Cam and Strick podcast, covers the Blues TV network there, the FanDuel network. Great stuff with Andy on the program. Hey, a big thanks to our pal Sean, and Let's Do It Travel for jumping on board with WST. And now listen, whether you are planning next winter's all-inclusive with that precious holiday time you have, or maybe the most important decisions you'll make ever when it comes to tying the knot with the destination wedding, or even getting together with the fellas for an incredible sports trip, or maybe even seeing the Jets in the playoffs, reach out to our pal Sean at Let's Do It Travel to make sure that you're getting the most out of your vacation time and stretching your dollar the furthest. Listen, there's a lot of things that look great on the internet. You make a bad decision on something like that, it can completely deep six very, very precious time away from work with your travel dollar. Give them a follow on Instagram at Let's Do It Travel WPG, or check them out online at letsdoittravel.com for some great information on possibilities for trips. As I mentioned, those destination weddings, those all-inclusives, some great sports trip ideas. And here's the kicker. Sean and Let's Do It Travel is waiving their booking fees for WST listeners. Just let Sean know you found out about him from Winnipeg Sports Talk, and let him know we sent you. You've got a buddy in the travel business with Let's Do It Travel. Get in touch today. Instagram at Let's Do It Travel WPG, or online at Let's Do It Travel. Of course, our friends at Princess Auto are the big supporters and sponsors of Whiteout Mania in Winnipeg right now. You've seen their signs all over the city, and if you haven't got one yet, just simply pop down to Princess Auto and pick them up for free. Panet Road and Portage Avenue West, they're there. Pop in. Obviously, you can check out all the great deals on the most unique assortment of tools and equipment around while you're there. But grab those Whiteout Mania signs, display them proudly at your home, at your workplace, and for those of you that are doing crazy costumes for the games or setting up your house as a mini whiteout, enter at winnipegjets.com/whiteoutmania for your chance to win playoff tickets courtesy of the Jets and Princess Auto. Whiteout Mania on right now. Grab your signs at Princess Auto, both Winnipeg locations, and of course out in Brandon for our friends in the Westman area. We're going to be fishing in a little while. We'll hopefully let hockey season go for a couple months and then max out on the rest of fishing season. But if you are planning or looking for a world-class fly-in fishing opportunity where you can be on the water in less than 2 hours from the city of Winnipeg, Aikens Lake Wilderness Lodge is the spot. Cannot wait to get back out there this summer. And if you have not seen what Aikens has to offer, at Aikens Lake on all their social channels. But if you go to aikenslake.com, you find out information on the 2025 fishing season, all the incredible options at Aikens for a friends, a family, a corporate outing, or more. Aikens Lake, shout out to Pitt and the gang and the Terrence family, and we'll look forward to seeing them after a long Jet playoff run. And hey, lots of white suits in the building on Saturday night. Guys, if you need to get a suit for the whiteout, or maybe for a wedding, or just up your menswear game heading into summer, F Apparel's the spot to do that. 190 Smith Street downtown. Custom suits, golf pants, chinos, custom shirts, both tucked and untucked styles. The best selection of menswear accessories, all at amazing prices. Great grad promo right now. Free shirt and tie for any 2025 grad getting a suit for the big day, and an awesome discount for wedding parties when you get your suits at F. It's all there at 190 Smith Street. Find out more or request an estimate today over at FEPHapparel.com. All right, we're going to have Mike McIntyre jump on with us in a few minutes, but just more coming out of Saturday before we get to what Arnie's got for us for tonight. Here's Adam Lowry on the turnaround in the game and a dominating third period by the Winnipeg Jets.
You know, I thought it was great, and you know, we go in with a power play opportunity and we don't score, but you know, it was a heck of a save by Bennington, generate some momentum, and you know, I just like that we didn't start cheating the game. The structure was there once we settled into the game, and then really limited their chances, didn't give up a whole lot. And, I think that's a good blueprint for success of, staying above their speed, controlling the tempo and playing fast.
To that point, what did you feel that your team did to lock in the defensive structure that you had that held them to just 2 shots in that period?
Well, I think some of it was reads on the forecheck, some of it was reads in the neutral zone, and then, like I said, we started playing a little faster. I think, early in the game, you got nerves, the building's buzzing, guys are chasing hits, and it's just the execution wasn't necessarily there that we come to expect. So, I thought once we settled in, the reads got sharp, the tracking was really good, our D's gap was great. Helly had some good handles that didn't allow them to get a forecheck, and I thought we did a real good job of starting to sustain some ozone time, and that was a heck of a play by Scheif and Al going to the dirty area to get us back in the game, and kind of the building erupted, and I feel like we seized that momentum, and what a play on that fourth goal.
All right, so there's the captain, Adam Lowry. And, of course, Mark Scheifele became the Jets' all-time playoff leading scorer, I guess, for the franchise, or 2.0. Still has to track down Dale Hawerchuk and Thomas Steen, I believe. But Adam Lowry, and this is Liz, you can check out on our socials. Liz was out doing some fun Jets trivia with fans in the Whiteout Street Party on Saturday. And she was asking people for the top 5 2.0 playoff scorers. And most people got Wheeler and Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor. The guy that was the tough one, Adam Lowry, playoff Lowry, yes, 5th all time in playoff scoring, and he added another goal with the empty netter to his. We may have to put in a little playoff Lowry for a WST parlay tonight with our friends at Coolbet. We'll get to that a little later on. But let's hear from Connor Hellebuyck. If you went in early, the huge save on Jordan Kyrou, I thought was one of the big turning points in the game. And then he was not that busy in the third period. Here's what Hellebuyck had to say about the way his team stormed back.
Yeah, I think that's what you look for. That's playoff hockey. You got to play right to the last minute and right to the last second. And, it was fun. The guys are buzzing out there. I didn't get a whole lot of action in the third, but it was really fun to watch and be a part of. And, it's there's a lot more.
What did they do, to help you just only face those 2 shots in the third as they did?
I thought we just continued with our details, continued putting the pressure on, getting the puck deep, and not turning it over in the right areas. And, when we're holding the puck the whole time, it makes it like that.
Connor, what did you see on the Kyrou breakaway?
He kind of drove wide. He had a couple options, but he kind of looked like he was trying to use his speed, try to get around me. And, in that moment, I was just kind of trying to smother him because he got a little tight to me and, stuck to me.
What's the mindset on a play like that? You guys are down 1, and obviously 2 becomes an even bigger hole to climb out of. And in retrospect, that was a huge save at the moment, right?
Yeah, in one of those types of games, there's not a whole lot of action. There's not a whole lot of feel. You just know you're going to have to make at least one big save, and that's going to be the difference maker. And I thought that was it. That being said, I felt good all night. I was just waiting to get some action, and I thought we were controlling the play pretty well there. So we played great, and now we got to move on to the next one and continue to do it.
All right, there's Connor Hellebuyck. We'll hear more from Coach Arneal after we talk with Mike about tonight's game and a little bit of Jim Montgomery as well. But we're going to bring Mike in right now, and this segment is a presentation of your Prairie Toyota dealers, who are reminding you got 2 days left to enter this awesome contest they've got going on right now with the grand prize of a signed Mark Scheifele jersey, a signed Connor Hellebuyck jersey, and some great WST merch. Enter for your chance to win. Now, there's a link in the description of this YouTube video right now. And Remo, throw it in the chat. It's completely free to enter. So make sure to get over today and get in before the contest closes on April 23rd. You can also visit Prairie Toyota Dealers on Instagram at Prairie Toyota Dealers and on Facebook at Prairie Toyota to enter. And of course, get in and go with the Toyota Tundra. Quality that means it has the strength to take on any challenge, off-road or hauling a heavy load. Take the road less traveled in comfort. Room for teammates, friends, and gear. And man, does that Tundra look beautiful as well. From 154 weekly for 60 months at 5.19% APR with $66.99 down. Hybrid available as well. Visit shoptoyota.ca. All right, let's get Mike McIntyre in from the Winnipeg Free Press. Mike, what a way for the Stanley Cup playoffs to get going. Here in Winnipeg, all eyes on the whiteout. The fans brought it, and the team certainly did by the time we got to the end of 60 minutes.
Yeah, they sure did. That was a pretty special Saturday night in downtown Winnipeg for sure. And not just in Winnipeg, Huss. I mean, the Jets had the whole stage to themselves, right? They were kicking off the Stanley Cup playoffs, national broadcast. That's a game where, you don't want to come out and fall flat on your face or be the proverbial deer in headlights. And while the Jets, maybe didn't get off to the greatest of starts, certainly by the end of that game, it was pretty evident that they were the better of the two teams and a pretty just result. I know it was tied going down into the final couple minutes, but given the disparity in play and, what the Jets had really limited the Blues to from the first period on, that would have been a bitter pill to swallow if the Jets didn't come out of that game with a positive result. There's no moral victories in the regular season. There's certainly no moral victories in the playoffs. It's all about actual victories. And, to the Jets' credit, they've got some game breakers, and Kyle Connor is as much a game breaker as anyone there as there is in the league. And he broke that game open with just a huge goal that, honestly, Huss, to me, this feels bigger than just one game. Like, when you think about the narratives, the storylines that would have been coming out of a game one loss, the Jets, like, rightly or wrongly, they're wearing their previous two playoff appearances. Their record at home has not been very good. Connor Hellebuck's recent track record, not great. There were a lot of storylines that could have gone quite a bit different had they come out of game one down 0-1. And that brings us to another storyline as we now look to game two, which is, can this year be different than the last? This is the third straight year the Jets have won game one, and they didn't handle their previous two very well. We know that. So now the focus shifts to game two. But you're right, just a great night. I mean, for folks who've, been part of this community. I'm 50 years old, born and raised in Winnipeg. Like, the scenes outside the rink, just the energy, the excitement in the community, and certainly the electricity in the rink on Saturday night. I mean, when Kyle Connor scored that goal, the go-ahead, and Adam Lowry adds that empty netter, that's right up there with as loud as I've ever heard that place.
It was a madhouse. I mean, and it was quite a scene. I mean, I'll echo what you said. I mean, as a Winnipeg dude, I mean, to be around downtown for 3 hours before the game, to see everyone doing up their ridiculous costumes, and literally every single person in white. Salmon shirt guy didn't even show up for the game. It was building, but I mean, it was a little nervous early on. I mean, credit to the Blues. They came out hitting everything.
Yeah.
The Jets did not really get a lot of traction with their game, I thought, through the better part of the first period. And listen, the Blues didn't have a lot, but when they shot it, they certainly put it in the right spot and they went in. And listen, for all the narratives of which I personally don't buy into about Connor Hellebuck in the playoffs, 3 of the first 10 shots went in the net, Mike. And I have to say, like, for Hellebuck to step up with the play of the game, in my opinion, the save on Jordan Kyrou. I mean, that goes in, as I said, I think we're having a different conversation today.
Agreed.
And then for the team to pick him up and do what they did in the second half, huge for the team, but I think also huge for Hellebuck, who knows that he does not have to be a guy that is stealing every single game. Like, the Jets can win on their own merits without their goaltender stealing a game, but you have to give your team a chance to win, and I thought that was what he did. And I expect him to be a lot more comfortable. I'm sure he and Wade Flaherty will be talking about listen, they were going top cheese all night long on him when they could. And maybe just being out a little further to prevent a little bit more space being on that. But listen, I expect Hellebuyck to be the same guy we've seen all season long tonight, and that is going to make things that much harder for St. Louis.
Yeah, I feel like the result of the game the other day, that they get the positive result, that can allow him to kind of exhale a little bit. He may not show it outwardly, and he certainly wouldn't say it, but I mean, he's a human being. Like, he's aware of how the last couple playoffs have gone. He's aware, I'm sure, of some of the narratives out there about, playoff Helly versus regular season Helly. And yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, that was three goals on 10 shots. Not a great stat line, not a great start. But yeah, that save on Jordan Kyrou, I mean, that was one of those where at the time you put a star beside it thinking, well, that could be a big development in the game. And it certainly proved to be the case. And, Huss, of course, we're naturally going to compare this year to previous years. It's been a storyline all season with these Jets as we talk about the playoff failures of the past and how they're going to address that. One thing I think that's markedly different in their game one victory this year versus their game one victory last year, for folks who maybe don't remember, that was that absolutely bananas game against Colorado. Believe the final score, was 7-6?
7-6.
Yeah. So the Jets won the President's Trophy, the William Jennings Trophy. They didn't win the President's last year. They were fourth, I think, in the league. They won the William Jennings Trophy last year because they were a defensively stalwart team, just as they were this year. There was none of that in game one last year. They won game one because Georgiev couldn't stop a beach ball that day. And you talk about guys getting rattled by the crowd. That was the Colorado goaltender. But the Jets won game one last year despite suffering a bit of an identity crisis. And they really never had their identity at any point in that playoff series. That's where I'd say the encouragement has to come to me out of what they did on Saturday night. I know the final score was 5-3, so the Blues get 3. That was a pretty defensively dominating performance by the Jets, and certainly the last 40 minutes. That was a Jets team that gave up very little. I know even in the second period, where the scoreline says the Blues won the period 1-0, and they did. The shot attempts, the high dangers, I mean, all the measurable stats, all the underlying stats were favoring the Jets. And then in the third, it was just domination station. So much so that I asked Jim Montgomery about that Hellebuyck save on Kyrou. And, he admitted that his team was so overwhelmed in the final period. He said, well, the way we played, I don't know, maybe 2 wouldn't have even been enough. The fact is that the Jets just took that game over, and they did it through great defense. And that is the DNA of this team. And I think that's what that was one of my big takeaways from game one, that this team didn't abandon what it does really well, even when the game didn't start off as well as they'd like. They didn't cheat. They didn't start, abandoning their structure and their strong systems. They stuck to what they know best. And eventually the offense started to flow and some timely goals and timely saves. And so I think, that's what you're looking for, certainly from the Jets going forward, that can this team continue to do what it does best and play its style of game? Because we know that style of game is an extremely successful one. We just saw it over 82.
Yeah. Now listen, for all the talk about the goalies, I think both of them have another level that we will see at some point in this series. But the top dogs on the Jets made a statement, I thought. And let's talk about Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor. I mean, I think even more is on their shoulders right now with Velarde and Ehlers out. And listen, Alex Iafallo, what a week he had, eh? New contract, massive goal in the third period, right in the middle of all the shenanigans at the end. But the Scheifele-Connor combination, what they were able to generate, and that set play off the face-off that Mark won in the third period, just a bit of beauty. I mean, listen, we've talked a lot about how this team has a lot of depth, which is great, and that'll help you win some games. But your best players need to be your best players, and I thought that absolutely was the case up front for Winnipeg on Saturday night.
Yeah, and when we talk about taking over the third period, it was led by that line. I mean, they got the tying goal. Mark Scheifele with a great play to set up Alex Iafallo, as you mentioned. Huge goal to kind of get the momentum really back. That the building, not that it was quiet, but the clock was starting to, they were getting into the final half of that first or third period, and you wondered if the Blues might just find a way to lock it down, even though the Jets were certainly carrying the bulk of the play. So a huge goal, a great pass by Mark Scheifele, a record-setting pass as it turned out, because that assist, and it was a beauty of an assist and a very important one, propelled him to number one on the franchise playoff scoring lead. And then, the game winner off an icing. And, Huss, it's right before that goal, I had commented to a couple of colleagues in the press box about how the Jets, they were really struggling in the faceoff dot the other day. And it just seemed like when they had offensive zone chances, and specifically I was thinking about the power play, where it seemed like the Jets were losing all the draws on their power plays in the offensive zone. And that would usually lead to clears. And, the Jets had a bit of a tough night on the power play. They did get one. But, there is a timely faceoff. So we talk about timely save, timely goal. There's a timely faceoff win. And it actually was Alex Iafallo who kind of won the draw, because it was kind of a scrambled draw. And that's where the wingers really come into play sometimes, those 50-50 battles. So they get possession. The Blues were tired because they had iced the puck. The Jets, get the personnel out that they wanted. And just a beautiful set play. Kyle Connor kind of gets lost to the Blues, at least out there. And, you could not have threaded the needle any better than the way Mark Scheifele made that pass. That's a pass. He's made that pass a million times to him in practice, in the summer when they work out, and we've seen it many times in games. It's a thing of beauty for sure. And, it was the difference between a win and, maybe rolling the dice on whatever overtime might have looked like. So just an enormous play. And again, like you said, the top line, which isn't the top line that, they would necessarily be rolling with if everyone was healthy. But Alex Iafallo has certainly found himself a real nice fit on that line. And the stars in Connor and Scheifele, they come through, and that's what you need. Like you said, playoffs, depth, and unlikely heroes and all that. Those are all storylines for sure. But if your stars aren't your best players more nights than not, you're not going to go very far.
Hey, just on that, with what AI's been doing, playing up with 55 and 81, it's great to see Gabe Vilardi back on the ice with the squad in the non-contact jersey. Andy Strickland just asked me as to when we'll see him. I mean, I would think that probably game 4 the earliest, but I think that with the time in between, wanting him to be as close to 100%, knowing that they're going to achieve their goal, there's a lot of hockey left to be played. It might be later in the series, game 5 potentially, with these extra dates between the two. But how do you think they bring Vilardi back into the lineup when he's ready to play? Does he go right back to the top line with Scheifele and Connor, or do they find somewhere else? And where might that be?
Yeah, I don't think you'd throw him right in on the top line, at least not in his first game back. And I think part of that is because there's such a comfort with what you do have there right now, sort of stopgap that's proved to be highly effective. I also just think that would be asking a lot of a guy who's now missed. Well, tonight will be his 13th straight game. And to throw a guy in at playoff intensity with that long of a layoff, and for the kind of work that you expect your top line to do in terms of the minutes they log, I think that would be asking a lot. So to me, the natural spot would be you just throw him on your fourth line, to at least for the first game or two. Now, of course, he's going back on the top power play unit and his traditional spot. Of that, there's no doubt. So depending on how the power play situation works, that would obviously contribute to what his minutes would look like. But I think you'd want to manage his minutes a bit. I also think certainly the condition of the series would probably play a bit of a factor too. And it also could play a factor in terms of when he returns. But there's a fine line between kind of an emergency situation and almost panicking if you're starting to worry that your season is on the cusp, versus being in a more comfortable position and maybe being able to bide yourself a little bit of time to not rush a guy back. And, we often hear in the regular season when guys get hurt, you'll hear guys say, well, if it were the playoffs, he'd be in the lineup. Well, this could actually be a situation, Huss, and I think tonight's game is going to be really important. The Jets could grab a 2-0 lead. There's only 2 games over the next 8 days after tonight. That's an enormous amount of time to not only allow a Gabe Vilardi to just really start feeling comfortable, but to get the conditioning up, to try and emulate as much as possible game conditions, so that when he does come back in the lineup, he can kind of hit the ground running, as opposed to just shoehorning him in. Like, I'm looking at the Dallas situation where a guy like Miro Heiskanen, who many thought would be out for the first round, he's taken the morning skate today. Well, the Stars just got clobbered on home ice the other day, and they're getting pretty desperate. I mean, they might have no choice but to rush a guy in who's still not 100%. I think if you're the Jets, you hope that you have the luxury of don't even having to worry about that. But yeah, to your original question, to me, as great a job as Anderson, Dolan, and Gustafsson have done, I think we would all agree, Huss, those are the 2 guys that if Ehlers and Vilardi were both healthy, neither David Gustafsson or Jared Anderson Dolan would be in the lineup. Morgan Barron would absolutely be in the lineup. He's not going anywhere, nor are the other 9 forwards that are currently in the top 3 lines. So, yeah, I mean, whether it's Gustafsson or Anderson Dolan that comes out once Vilardi's back, and we believe he'll be the first back, certainly before Nikolai Ehlers, and assuming there's no other injury issues, I think you just slide him on the wing on that 4th line. You ease him in. You maybe get him some favorable matchups that could, and clearly Gabe Vilardi's not a 4th line player, but that'd be a great little problem to have initially. Like, hey, things are going so well, we don't need to throw this guy up back onto the top line right away. We can let him kind of get comfortable, get his feet going, and we'll cross that bridge when we get there of when we do move him back up.
Do you think we might see him on line 2? And then have Nino move down to his regular line with Lowry, which allows Tanev to move down to the 4th line?
No, that's possible. But now we're talking about 3 lines potentially changing. And again, these aren't necessarily the way the lines are today, aren't the way that they would be if everyone was healthy. And when we talk about we're changing in a way back to the way
to Appleton, Niederreiter, Lowry is not a significant change, I would suggest. I mean, that's
yeah, no, you're right, and that's a great point. We absolutely could see that. We have seen Gabe Vilardi, of course, long stretches where he was on the 2nd line, and maybe that's where he goes, even when they feel he's up and running. Like if they love what Alex Iafallo is doing with Scheifele and Connor, and they almost feel like they can unlock something else, whether it's Perfetti, and Nemestikov, and get those guys, like, basically, to your point, Huss, almost have Vilardi in the Ehlers spot where Ehlers was with Perfetti and Nemestikov. Absolutely. I would not rule that, and I wouldn't rule that out even beyond, because think about it, if Ehlers is still going to be out for a length of time, like, is Iafallo going to then go back? Is Iafallo going down with Perfetti and Nemestikov once Vilardi moves back up? But again, Iafallo works great with Scheifele and Connor. So yeah, those are definite possibilities. I think as I sit here today, my first inclination would be to say his first game back, whenever that is, there's a decent chance it's as a 4th line winger, at least to start the game. Then you see how he looks Is he keeping up with the pace? Is he a step or two behind? What are his minutes looking like? Are there a ton of power plays? Are there no power plays? So he's barely seeing the ice and we want to get him on a little more. So there's certainly some different things Scott Arniel could do. But again, it goes down to the Jets putting themselves in a great spot by winning game 1. They could now win game 2 tonight. I feel like in some ways they buy themselves some additional time to figure it out.
I'll say this about the bottom half of the lineup, and particularly the fourth line. I mean, Gus, Jad, both of those guys, played well enough to earn the confidence of the coach to have them out in the third period with the lead. I mean, in the offensive zone. And that is something that, like, right now, while you're missing guys like Ehlers and Velarde, other players are stepping up. It's huge opportunities for guys that might not normally be in the top 12 if fully healthy. And I thought both of those guys, that line, and of course the Lowry line, brought it in a big way, especially in that third period, as Scott Arniel wasn't hesitating to throw all 4 lines over the bench, over the boards.
No, he wasn't, and nor should he, because those guys do bring it. And let's be honest, Huss, if the Jets are going to play hockey as long as they envision, which would be to say all the way to like mid-June, the chances of having, the lineup as it was in game 1 and every player just remain perfectly healthy and no issues, no need for changes, like that's almost unheard of. And certainly you look at how physical game 1 was. I mean, the Blues came out just hitting everything in sight, and we know the way guys block shots and throw their bodies in front of pucks. There's going to be more injuries. That's the reality. And so you're going to need guys. So it would not be, if Velarde comes back and one of those guys has to out of the lineup, it's certainly not performance based at all. And I think it would be a pretty easy message to sell to whoever that guy is that, hey, stay ready, because there's a good chance you're going to be back in this lineup sooner than later. And when you are back in the lineup, we're going to be counting on you to play the way you've been playing. So, yeah, it's Winnipeg's depth, and to me, Anderson Dolan is such a great story. Is he the Joe Morrow story already of 2018?
Well, yeah, now that he has a goal in game 1, I think he has to be.
And, that's what playoffs are about, right, guys? You don't expect, it's incredible. A month ago, who would have envisioned Jared Anderson Dolan being in the starting lineup for the Jets, the game 1 lineup? He was with the Moose, and maybe not even a guy we were talking about as the first guy that would get recalled, but he's done everything you could have asked for and then some. And yeah, the goal the other day, the only downside to that goal, I had a great chat yesterday with David Gustafson in the room. I just wandered over to his stall, and after the practice, I said, great pass to Luke Shen. And he's like, oh, thanks. And I said, yeah, and you got absolutely robbed of an assist, because Shen's shot ended up hitting 2 guys, Barron and Anderson Dolan, the old double doink. And so David Gustafson loses his playoff assist. I said to him, if ever there was an example where a third assist would be absolutely justified, there it is right there. Now, of course, he laughed. He didn't care. Just as Anderson Dolan and Barron, they didn't care who actually got credit for the goal. Hockey, the ultimate team sport, and at playoff time, there certainly is no I in team. It's an all for one, one for all mentality.
Hey, Mike, before we let you go, you mentioned Dallas in a desperate situation to avoid doing what they did last year, which was losing the first 2 at home. I actually thought that they deserved a better fate on Saturday night. I don't know about you. I mean, that goal that went in, the first goal that Lehkonen in, might be the most bizarre goal I've ever seen.
It was.
I mean, a perfect kick, boom, top corner. Obviously, he didn't do it on purpose because he was getting dragged down at the time. But, I mean, that went in, and then that knuckler went in, and it seemed to me that sort of changed the game. I mean, Hintz got it to 2-1, and then credit to Colorado. I mean, the dagger was the Taves goal right after that. But I mean, I hadn't heard that about Heiskanen potentially even playing tonight. I guess we'll see. That would be incredible. I mean, if he's actually able to come back in this short of time and help his team right now.
That's the proverbial in case of emergency, break glass.
It's an emergency.
Yeah. Well, and to your point, I thought the Stars did play well, but what does it say, Huss, about their current state of affairs? Like, they had lost 7 in a row heading into the playoffs. I saw Pete DeBoer after the game said that he thought that was one of their, if not their best game in a couple weeks. And the final score still says they lost by 5-1. And I know there's the empty netter and stuff, but yeah, I mean, it's a tough go. And now losing Jason Robertson as well as they did right at the end of the regular season. Like, and we knew that Avalanche were truly an avalanche in terms of the momentum they had been building. I think the game 1 result and what we've seen so far, Huss, just further underscores why it was so important to win the Central Division so as not to run into the buzzsaw, at least not initially, that is the Colorado Avalanche. Now, the Jets, not that they have it easy, they don't. It wasn't easy in game 1. It's not going to be easy tonight. The whole series is not going to be easy, but I think if you're the Jets, you're a little more relaxed playing in this series than having the President's Trophy winners facing Colorado right off the hop.
Mike, great stuff as always. Can't get enough of you, Ken, and the entire WFP team cranking out the content right now. And I know tomorrow will be a big addition after game 2 of the series tonight.
Enjoy the game, Huss. Should be another just bonkers night inside and around the rink. Look forward to it.
Take it easy, Mike. We'll catch up soon. There's Mike McIntyre of the Winnipeg Free Press. Look at this. We're pushing 850 live right now on YouTube. Great to see everybody here. If you haven't already, gang, please hit that subscribe button and subscribe to the channel. And while you're at it, give a little thumbs up for today's episode as well. Thumbs up for the big game 1 win. Thumbs up for some good luck for the team in blue, the fans in white tonight at Canada Life Center. I have to shout out, Remis, I must have seen 8 people at the game on Saturday that were either wearing the hat that I had, the hoodie that I had, or one of the other Royal New Era special white collab hats. And every one of them said, Huss, thank you for posting that and letting us know on WST that Royal got those in. I love it. I'm not sure Royal's been as busy as they were heading into game 1 and over the weekend, maybe since last Christmas. You can see there's a few left right now.
Yeah, they sold out.
Yeah.
there's a couple left.
144 per lid. They're all out. I believe there are 2 other versions that are coming in shortly. But there's so much great stuff at Royal. If you're getting ready for the whiteout, if you're lucky enough to be at one of the games, if you're heading to the street parties and you need some White Jets gear, get down to Royal Sports, your playoff headquarters. And, of course, get ready for spring too. Awesome selection of bikes, some e-bikes there as well. And like soccer, baseball, softball, tennis, it's all coming in by the day. But everyone thinking whiteout right now, get ready for the whiteout at Royal Sports. I think there was a nice article actually on Royal and some local businesses in the Free Press today, which you're going to be checking out later on today. Of course, if you're not at the game tonight or at the street party, your next best place to be is Boston Pizza. Fans will be in white, chomping down on those gourmet pizzas and the big new playoff menu, which has the wing flights, the wing pizza, the triple pepperoni, and more. But most importantly, your Winnipeg Jets on the big screen. Full sound for the games. Pick a player contest as well. And I imagine it might be even busier on Thursday night when there's no opportunity to go to the game if you're in Winnipeg. No better place to get together with your gang for Jets playoff hockey than your local Boston Pizza. No better beer to enjoy Winnipeg Jets playoff hockey than Winnipeg's favorite local beer, Little Brown Jug. Of course, you can grab 1919s and generic lagers at Craft Beer Corner at the game tonight. And hey, a big cheers to our friends at Little Brown Jug for Game 2.
You train day in and day out, learning new techniques, approaching new concepts, and living out the thrill of achieving your goals. Building a craft beer is no different. While you spend your hours on the ice, we spend ours here, brewing our trademark beer. Again, and again. Here's to pushing the status quo and challenging ourselves to build something memorable. 1919 by Little Brown Jug.
Great stuff. Hey, quick Breezy Bend golf report. Hopefully there'll be no golfing in the forecast for the Winnipeg Jets for a couple months. That's not the scenario we're looking at for Winnipeg Jet fans. Breezy Bend's going to be opening later on this week. Cannot wait to get out and swing it at Breezy. And of course, can't wait for the Manitoba Open, which is going to be a great opportunity for Breezy Bend to show off the incredible course improvements, clubhouse improvements they've been working on over the last few years. If you want more information on making Breezy Bend you and your family's longtime home at one of Winnipeg's top private courses, give Corey Johnson a call or find out more online at breezybend.ca. That was JT, Justin Thomas, getting a long-awaited win. Started off with a 61, finished up with a 69, and ended up beating Andrew Novak in a playoff with 17 under, making a cool 3.6 mil at Hilton Head at the RBC Heritage. And a reminder again, speaking of golf and Manitoba golf, all the provincial championships are available to be entered now. You can find out more at Golf Manitoba and at the Golf Manitoba website. All right, I'm going to cook up a parlay for tonight's game. We'll get to that in a few minutes in the Coolbet lines. But let's hear from Scott Arniel from today. After the morning skate, spoke to the assembled media and just talked about his team and, learning to play in the whiteout. That the home record had not been great earlier on. Obviously, it started off 1-0 this playoffs. Here's Arnie on the scenes surrounding the game and being at their best.
Well, I think that we went through it the other night. I think there were a lot of nerves, and now tonight I'm hoping, okay, we've been down this road. Let's be ready for it. We do need a better start in the first. I thought the biggest thing for me when our execution is good, especially early in games, it helps us get up and running, and that's what I'm hoping for tonight. When you ask me about a better start, for me, our execution would be the biggest thing.
When he was talking about it, he said something that I'd never really thought of before, but he said it's brighter. It's brighter in there because of the white. Everything kind of gets brightened up, and I'm wondering what kind of that optic effect, what effect it can have on the ice.
I didn't notice that. I noticed that, I hear it in my voice, that I have to yell a lot louder because it is so loud, so make sure everybody knows what's going on the bench and stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, I suppose I didn't think of it that way. Yeah, bright lights.
Here's Arnie also on the off-day preparation for tonight's big game 2.
Yeah, I think that, we did our post video, some of the areas that we need to improve on, some things that we have to continue to do. So yesterday for us, it was a chance to do that. Guys to, see there wasn't all just loving positive clips, so there was stuff that we have to get better at, and I think it allows you to kind of know that there's a little bit more that has to come from each and every guy. I think that there were some guys that were really good, there were some guys that were mediocre, and there's some guys that have to go a little bit better, and I think that's every game you're kind of going about that. But I thought as the game went on, everybody's game improved, and I really like to see that right from the start.
Right, a little bit more from Jets head coach Scott Arniel. Now, he mentioned sort of the nerves. I can tell you that the players had some nerves. The fans certainly had some nerves, but they were not short on volume. That is for sure. Here's just Arniel on managing the excitement levels for playoff hockey for his team.
You hear it in pro sports all the time. I've heard guys talk about it at the Super Bowl, going to the Super Bowl. I've heard hockey players talk about it. You get so caught up in what's coming that you kind of burn all your energy during the day, then you don't sleep the night before, all you're thinking about, and then you get to the moment, and you're almost zapped. And like I said, I've heard that lots about guys going into Super Bowl. It's the hype. Then you get into the game, instead of being calm, cool, you're already sort of so hyped up that it kind of affects you. And I think there was a little bit of that the other night. For us, it's just more than anything, we went through it. We went through it once here. So now guys, and we've had lots of guys that have been through it before, but this is a different year. So now we know what to expect. Now we know what this building's all about and what St. Louis is going to do, and now let's go out and be good.
All right, now one more from Arnie, and this is just on Nito Niederreiter, who, of course, is moving up from Adam Lowry's line to play in the Ehlers spot while Ehlers is on the shelf, along with Vlad and Cole Perfetti. Here is Arnie on that.
Well, that's obviously a role, moving up, going from our sort of heavy checking line and moving into that top six. Guys have been asked to do those roles, much like we've talked about Al, moving up with Scheif, that, there's an important part that he has to play on that. He's the other two guys are, creative and going to be use their skill set, but he's a big power forward. He knows he's got to get to the corners to help them get the puck back. He's got to get to the net. He's got to be good on the walls on our end. But then that's what he's been doing the last, since we had the injuries. He's done a real good job of taking advantage of the opportunity and the more ice time that he's been given.
Speaking of injuries, this is one clip actually from yesterday, but just the latest on the infirmary and a bit of an injury update heading into Game 2.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's great that he's around, but he has been around here. And
yeah, of course, this is was also in advance of Velarde putting on the non-contact jersey and joining practice.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's great that he's around, but he has been around here. And but again, he just when I see that other jersey change color, then we'll start talking about it.
Scott, did you have a chance to watch him today? And if so,
no chance. I'm not watching an op show. No. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. No, I usually run around the room and talk to guys after and see how it went. But yeah, I'm not. He's still in yellow. We'll just let that kind of grow, and that color changes, and we'll go.
Just portable housekeeping. I see Rasmus was out there in a regular sweater.
Yep.
So is he considered cleared and good to go?
Yeah. Now we can go back to some contact and go back to being in that color. Now he has to miss some some practices. So now we have to get him up and running here. Gets a little bit of conditioning in behind him.
Just one other guy. I think Billy missed a couple days ago.
Yeah, Billy has a little bit of an issue there. Something that's kind of nagging him here. So we're just trying to give him a couple of days. He's had a couple of days here where he hasn't felt real well. So we'll just kind of give him a break and move on from him.
All right, so there's the coach. Great news on Gabriel Velarde back in the non-contact jersey. Some good laughs from the coach about watching the optional. You can tell still big smiles Sunday on the aftermath of the big win on Saturday for the Winnipeg Jets. And Rasmus Kupari back in a full contact jersey. So he'll be a possibility, I guess, as this series moves on. Once he gets a couple more practices in and he gets back on the ice more consistently. On the other side of the ledger is the St. Louis Blues, who obviously gave a good shot early on, but weren't able to hold on to the lead. Here's Blues head coach Jim Montgomery on what they learned from Game 1 in preparation for an important game tonight.
We've made all our video was done yesterday as far as what we learned from Game 1, how we're going to get better in Game 2, and we're just focused on our game plan on how we think we can have success tonight.
Jim, are you a coach that puts a lot of thought into adjustments from game to game, and how do you balance, hey, let's make changes versus let's just go out and play what we did?
As a coach, it's why you love playoff hockey. It's funny, I went out and just looked at, because I try and waste time, and I saw Scott Arniel, and we met eyes and we waved to each other. We're good friends and respect each other a lot. Well, I know I respect him a lot. I can't speak for him. But I know how bright of a hockey mind he is. And that being said, I know that there's going to be adjustments and wrinkles by both of us. That's what you love as a coach, being in. And you have to weigh that balance of how much is too much and how much, because you just want your players to play fast and free mentally. So you can't, throw the kitchen sink at them.
Monty on the St. Louis side of things, and this is an interesting one. He was asked what he remembers about Arniel when he was with him when Arnie started coaching the Moose. Of course, Monty played 67 games here in Manitoba wearing antlers.
I remember how easy he was to learn from. Like, I remember when I got to the Moose at the time, I had a 5-minute chalkboard with him before my first game because I flew in that day. And I just remember how simple he made it and how quickly I felt I could adjust to the way the Moose were playing compared to the team I came from because of his teachings.
What was it like for you to see him get the second chance to be an NHL head coach, knowing the relationship and also what he went through during that time?
Well, I told him how much better he's going to be because of it. The first experience, you grow a lot, and the second time you get a crack at it, like he has shown this year, you're significantly better. You know exactly how you want everything to run. And then when you invest the time he did, coaching with so many different coaches and really good coaches in the league and learning from them, it just makes you better, and that's why you see the result this year.
All right, some mutual admiration on both sides of the coaching matchup, Scott Arniel and Jim Montgomery. After today's morning skate, Mason Appleton talked about what an ideal start tonight looks like for the Winnipeg Jets.
I think, as you saw us build our game, we held on to pucks more and made more plays. We made more stuff happen. Obviously, the crowd is so electric that you can almost get caught up in it a little bit too much. You kind of over-ramp yourself up a little bit, but, we just got to calm down, take a breath, and try to get to, what makes us good right away. And it's game one of a series. You play 82 games thinking about game one kind of and what's after the regular season. So you understand where the nerves come from and this and that. But, game two, hopefully a little different start for us. And, yeah, we'll be a little more calmer.
Here's a little bit more from Mace on just learning to play in the atmosphere that is the whiteout in Winnipeg.
Certainly, I think it's brighter, it's louder, it's not normal. So to say everyone's a little nervous, a little on edge to start, it's just what it is. So yeah, you kind of learn to process it a bit and kind of take a deep breath and just go play hockey. And I thought as the game went on, obviously the crowd stayed there and stayed electric, but we definitely settled in. So yeah, there's learning curve kind of each game in it and each series and each year.
All right, now here's one more from Appleton, and this it is a little weird. The first 4 games of this series are all at different times. 5 o'clock on Saturday, 6:30 tonight, 8:30 on Thursday, and then noon on Sunday. And Apple was just asked about the weird start times coming up all over the map for the first half of this series.
Well, I think you learn that's kind of what the playoffs are. We've had some wacko start times. Like you think back to that game we played against Edmonton a few years ago when I think it was like a 9 o'clock start, and then you all those overtimes you're out of here at 1:30 in the morning. Like it's kind of what the playoffs have become. Throughout the year, you got the odd afternooner or the 5 o'clock or this or that, but you just learn to adapt and adjust. And obviously rest is also important too. But like you said, 2 games where you got 2 days in between each one. It looks a little different than traditionally in the playoffs, but both teams got to deal with it, and it is what it is, and we'll be fine.
All right, there's Mason Appleton of the Winnipeg Jets. Got the assist on the empty netter, just missing the net. Popped perfectly out to the captain, Adam Lowry, to get tucked in. Hey, if you're with us on chat, with us on YouTube, click that link that Remis has pinned right now to make sure you get your entry in that Prairie Toyota contest for the signed Scheifele and Connor Hellebuck jerseys. We've only got 2 days to get that done. Just before we hear from Jared Anderson-Dolan, who of course scored his first playoff goal as a Jet, I want to get to the why not question of the day for Not Autocorp at Waverly and McGillivray. Listen, we know the big stars, the guys that were the stars of the game. Who is your unsung hero of Saturday's game 1 for the Winnipeg Jets? Let us know in the chat. We'll get to your fan feedback coming up in just a minute. One guy that I imagine might be a possibility for that unsung hero is Jad. Not Chad, Jad. Jared Anderson-Dolan. Here he is on scoring in game number 1.
Yeah, obviously very special. This time of year, you just, you want to do anything to contribute to a win, and scoring goals is obviously obviously part of that. No matter if it's a double deflection or not, it's still counts the same, and thought that was a big goal for the team.
So was that the video guys that made that decision, or did you and Morgan talk about it, and when did you find out that the goal had actually been credited to you?
I mean, I don't think either of us honestly really cared. I think, like I said, as long as it's a goal, they all count the same, and I didn't find out till they announced it in the second period there after an intermission, and I thought I got a piece of it, but like I said, didn't really care.
Hey, special shout out in chat to our pal, honorary Winnipegger, Dan Kovacevic of DK on Pittsburgh Sports. Dan, great to see you. No one speaks more highly of the city of Winnipeg, the Whiteout, and Jet fans than DK. Great to have Dan jumping on and taking in some of the playoff excitement today on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Hey, speaking of Jared Anderson-Dolan mentioned, he didn't know till later that he actually got the goal. Here he is on, I guess, somewhat of a double celebration on a huge goal for the Jets.
The fans got a double celebration there, so yeah, they got their money's worth. That's a pretty funny moment. Both obviously got a touch on it and thought we scored. So yeah, 2 for 1.
I thought it was goals in your career, but to score one in that environment and the way the crowd kind of reacted, like did any of that? I know that's your first kind of whiteout experience, right? Did any of that catch you by surprise?
Yeah, it's just it's something you dream of as a kid, scoring a playoff goal, and especially in an environment like that and in a whiteout. And I remember growing up watching whiteouts, and it's obviously a crazy environment. Our crowd and fans are so good and so supportive. It's definitely a cool moment scoring that goal, and kind of just blacked out after it went in, honestly.
All right, so I just blacked out after it went in. Yeah, much like half the crowd as well. Here's just one more from Jad, just on just the first experience being a Jet and playing in front of the whiteout.
Yeah, it's just it's something you dream of as a kid, scoring a playoff goal, and especially in an environment like that and in a whiteout. And I remember growing up watching whiteouts, and it's obviously a crazy environment. Our crowd and fans are so good and so supportive. It's definitely a cool moment scoring that goal, and kind of just blacked out after it went in, honestly.
Did you have imagined even a month ago that you'd be playing in a game like that? Because you were with the Moose a month ago, right?
Definitely not, honestly. It changes quick. Obviously, it's kind of a weird year, and being down with the Moose, and just tried to stay ready, and feel very lucky to have the opportunity I have. And like you said, you dream of playing in the playoffs. Every kid playing hockey dreams of scoring and even just playing. So definitely feel very fortunate.
I gotcha. We gave you a little extra Jad there because he did get to the whiteout a little bit later on. As Spency said, a solid clip to double if we were going to do it.
I'll say this. People want to hear about players talking about playing in the whiteout and saying how amazing it is. I threw out a clip of Hellebuck talking about the Jets fans. Got like 100K views on our Instagram. So people, I'm sure, watching it over and over again want to hear what a great crowd it is. And you're right. Why? When they made the TV schedule, they said, who are we going to have leading off the 2025 Stanley Cup playoffs? And there's no question. It's the Jets. It's the best atmosphere in playoff of any sport. Again, they're not handing out T-shirts there on the chair where we put them on. Everyone knows their role. Everyone's dressed up, taking it to a new level every year with the face paint and the accessories and the characters. It is it's something to see. The street party, the in-game. I can't wait for Game 2 tonight.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the scene downtown and in the building was, it just doesn't get any better than that. And special shout out to all the fans that had obviously been working and planning on their get-ups for the game for a long time. I got a lot of love for my get-up today, Reem. Those white pants just take it to another level.
Yeah, you got the white hat, white hoodie, white. I saw you, and we were saying the press box. Like, where's Huss? And there you are, the 316, like the front row. You could tell you got the white pants. That's what made you stand out from everyone else. So not everyone has white pants. So credit to you, taking it to another level.
Well, it's funny. I got those last year for my friend Mo's wedding in Mexico. And I was like going there. I'm like, I have no idea what the hell to wear. And I was just walking aimlessly through the outlet mall. I think it might have been my first time and only time I've ever been there. And there's a Lululemon store that had a bunch of pants. And I'm like, oh my God, there's actually some that will fit me. And I got a kind of a khaki colored pair. And then those ones. And I'm like, you know what? I can pull this off for this Mexican wedding. And then I've got go-to whiteout pants for the next number of years. So anyways, it was fun. Liz was kind of trying to get me to do a, what do they call the when they do that on TikTok, the fit check?
You got to do a fit check. Yeah, that's what you got to do.
Whiteout
fit check.
Maybe I'll do that tonight. Maybe we'll do that tonight.
Whiteout fit check.
For,
shoes from Royal.
Yeah.
Pants from Lulu. Hoodie from Royal. Hat from Royal. Yeah. I don't know if you're wearing a T-shirt under that hoodie. It's cold in that arena. I'll say that.
Yeah, there'll be a T-shirt on.
Do it. Yeah, you got to. You're not a guy who goes shirtless under a hoodie. People do that though. Not for me, but it's done.
Jimbo C with a great question that we still don't know the answer to. What is Jad's goal song?
I got it. I don't remember
because it didn't play because they played Morgan Barron's because it was originally given to Morgan Barron, and then they just made an announcement that there was a scoring change in the second period.
Oh, yeah, it's a good question. I did enjoy Alex Iafallo's goal song, "Fight for Your Right."
Dude, that is the best. Listen, you can talk about the fun songs, and some people like other ones. When AI scores and they are playing "Fight for Your Right to Party," it is, I mean, at least where I'm at, everyone is singing along with. I mean, it's one of those hilarious songs that people know the words to, and I would have liked them to play that like at the end of the game too. Well, maybe I've got a lot of good Chiefs vibes from "Fight for Your Right to Party" back when Kelsey was rocking it a couple seasons ago.
The DJ who's picking the music in the arena, I feel like really stepped it up. You know, the last bit here, just playing songs that people know, that people can sing along to. They're turning down the volume and having people continue. And, you know, there may be some nervous moments there while the Jets were down. But, you know, after they tied it up with the Iafallo goal, man, that place exploded. And, I mean, got even louder for the Connor goal and the empty netter from Lowry. I actually thought the loudest was the MVP chants. And when Scheifele scored, I don't know if it got louder than when they show the DB meter on the screen. I mark it down. I think the Scheifele goal was the loudest, the first goal.
Well, the MVP chant was something, and Hellebuck spoke about this after the game, you know, a moment that he will never forget. And that was organic, but it was a great thank you to a guy that put together the greatest goaltending season in Winnipeg Jets history and could very well be the MVP of the whole damn league by the time it's all done. Speaking of songs too, quickly before we get to fans first, fan feedback. It was like 2 minutes into the game and a bunch of the people in the upper deck were doing the "Hey Baby, Ooh Ah."
Yeah.
And I don't know why. Like, I love it when fans get into it and do those sorts of chants. To me, that song is the most bizarre choice for Jet fans to do it because that, of course, was PLD's song. Like that was the Pierre-Luc Dubois goal song. Now, obviously, nobody cares. I don't. I kind of made a joke early on, another nice tribute to PLD for the players that we got for PLD and Iafallo and Velarde and, of course, Kupari.
I'll say this about that song. One, it's a good song to sing to, but what I think of that song is being at the Bomber semifinal against Saskatchewan, freezing my ass off, and like I don't know, almost getting very ill from how cold it was, and everyone just singing and dancing while the Bombers were spanking around the Rough Riders. So I don't know.
That was the biggest, coldest dance party anyone's ever been to, and they had to keep playing those songs because, to your point, it was so cold you couldn't just sit there. Anyways, keep it rolling tonight, fans, whether you're going to go with that one or something else. It was great to be a part of that atmosphere. And I'll tell you what, there's probably quite a few people looking forward to or still perusing fansfirst.ca to see if they can get their butt in some seats tonight. And, of course, another sold-out game. Let's get the fan feedback brought to you by fansfirst.ca, your number one spot for buying and selling Winnipeg tickets on the resale market with no fees. What you see is what you pay. Now, I asked you all who was the unsung hero of the game. Bingo Bango says Lowry sure showed up last game. Darren Demchuk, Sandberg played a lot of minutes. Mary Jane said Logan Stanley. There's actually a couple Logan Stanleys in there tonight. Made a couple big hits, that's for sure. And, held their own. Couple nervous moments with he and Luke Shen out there together. But, hey, going around. I'm just looking at a few other of these. Iafallo, unsung hero, Mr. Spills. Spills, I'm with you. The job that he's doing, playing with those guys, in on both special teams, he is an absolute beauty. And yes, anytime he scores, we get a chance to sing "Fight for Your Right" in the stands is good with me. Jay says Dolan is awesome. Jared Anderson Dolan. And CMAC Jad looks jacked as well. Keep your thoughts coming in tonight, right now in the chat. Fans First fan feedback brought to you by fansfirst.ca. By fans, for fans, no fees. Just looking to see what's available tonight. I've seen a couple. I've been kind of putting this up. Now, there's a couple singles available. The get-in price on a pair, 307 row 7 are actually some pretty nice seats. 250 for row 3 and 315. Those are actually also quite good. And I would imagine that these ones, like for the people that are trying to get 320 or 300, I think those will probably come down a little closer to the game in the upper bowl. Low price in the 200s, looking like 350, and lower zone just under 4 for the game tonight. There's some more available. I will say this, and this is a bit of, I guess, a PSA for our friends at the Jets, but I mean, as a season ticket holder, I feel like I should pass on, this to many of you that maybe have thought about getting seats or being in on a group. I mean, the advantages of having season tickets or a package and getting your playoff tickets at this time is huge. Like, I'm in row 1 of the upper bowl, and the seats on season ticket price are $119. And they go up throughout the series, and if you get to the final, they're double that. But I mean, that's still, I think, and particularly when you think Canadian dollars and compare it to some of these other markets, I think we're doing very, very well. But the opportunity to get extra playoff tickets and take care of people in your group, I know a lot of people have jumped on and done that. But if you have been on the fence thinking about that, I would suggest maybe get in touch with the Jets, because I do believe they probably held some seats back. They're still taking deposits on next year's seats if you want to get in on the playoffs. And, holler at them. Tell them Huss sent you. And if you're thinking about doing that, I mean, they would love to continue to build the season ticket base, which might make less ability to get multiple additional playoff tickets next year. But bottom line, you're going to be getting the best price by far. And we all know what the demand is on games that you can't go to. Anyways, Fans First, lots of options right now. And just as an insider tip, 6:15 on a 7 o'clock game, so I guess it would be 5:45. That's the time that, if the seats aren't sold and you haven't sent them already, they're taken off. So, in and around that 5 o'clock area, for instance, if you're downtown and maybe looking to get a good deal and pull the trigger, if you wait a little bit, you'll probably see some prices come down as the market dictates what it'll cost to get in the building after the whole thing is sold out. Again, fansfirst.ca, by fans for fans, no fees. All right, let's get to tonight. Coolbet lines. We got 4 games tonight, Remis. 2 series beginning tonight. Game 2 in the 2 Central Division matchups. And huge games for the Winnipeg Jets at home, looking to go up 2-0 over the St. Louis Blues. Wow, that number's gone up even more. Jets, biggest favorite on the board tonight at -196. The Capitals number's actually gone up as well. They were about -182 earlier. Capitals are they're 182. They're now -192. And the Habs are +162. The late game tonight is game 1 between the Oilers and the Kings. I think this is going to be a really tough, long series. But this is a game, I think, with the rest. I think McDavid and Draisaitl, McDavid in particular, is going to look like he's just shot out of a cannon tonight. Now, the Kings are a hell of a defensive team and very good at home, best in the league. But I actually do kind of like Edmonton's opportunity to win this game tonight. I'm going to take Edmonton a +109 on the money line. The Kings are -128. And to me, this is the chance. The Stars got to have this one. They have to have this one. I thought they played pretty well in the game on Saturday night, to be honest. They didn't get a good result. Dallas at +123. Do not mind that as well. And again, Remis, what we and all Jet fans are hoping for is a 7-game series with double or triple overtime every single night between these two teams.
Yeah, you're hoping the Jets can take advantage of getting the first seed and playing against the Blues and sweeping to a win, and then you can wait, and those teams will play back-to-back and hopefully many games and tire each other out. Although I do remember back in, I don't need to bring it up. What happened in the 2020? We're talking about this year. We're talking about this year.
We're talking about tonight.
Yes.
We're talking about game 2. And how about this? We're talking about a WST parlay that I've cooked up. A pretty nice number on this one, too. Kyle Connor's +111 to score in the game. He's got great numbers against St. Louis. He will be the trigger man on the power play. I like the Jets to win, Kyle Connor to score, and playoff Lowry to get a point. Adam Lowry, who, of course, had the empty netter. So the fellas gave us a nice boost on that one. It's up to +750. So if you go over to Coolbet, click on the exclusives, and then you go down and get in on that and ride with me. I am putting that in right now, locking it in. Kyle Connor, goal. Adam Lowry, point. Jets win, +750 over on the Coolbet lines. Just back to the game, though, if you're wondering about a few other props for tonight. Kyle Connor is +111 to score. Mark Scheifele is +149. Jordan Kyrie's 2-1. Alex Iafallo +250 for us to hear "Fight for Your Right to Party" again. Cole Perfetti +260. Interesting that Robert Thomas is +275. I guess he's more of a disher than a shooter, but those two guys on the top line, +275 for Robert Thomas, +280 for Buchnevich. Bolduc +335. Nino's +370. Jamie Snuggerud's +430. He's moving up to the Thomas Buchnevich line. Vlad +470. JMO +480. Lowry 6-1. Oh, I might have to hit that one on the side. 6-1 for an Adam Lowry goal. Neil Pionk +860 as well. So you got a ton of options. First goal scorer as well is listed. And then over 1.5 goals, KFC +490, Mark Scheifele +730. A hat trick, 18-1 for Kyle Connor, 31-1 for Mark Scheifele. But the player points is an interesting one. Over 1.5 points, Kyle Connor +153, Mark Scheifele +180. Those are the guys you're really looking at. Josh Morrissey would be a player that I could see having a multi-point game. He's at plus 370. So Coolbet has some added options today for the game and throughout the playoffs. It is all there. And, one other thing I should mention while we're talking about Coolbet. Jake just sent this over. If you go to the promotions tab, there is the Coolbet Playoff Hub. And every week you can pick from one of these 3 offers. You can either insure a Bet Builder ticket up to $15. My 2 favorite ones, though, the Playoff Weekly Win Boost, where you can get a 30% profit boost from Friday to Sunday to use towards any NHL or NBA playoff bet. That's one that I use quite a bit. And then there's also the Bet and Get. If you go for that one, you bet 30 on the NHL or NBA playoffs, and you get a $15 free bet. All the details are in the promotions tab. Click on it, make your selection, and take advantage of a great bonus from our friends over at Coolbet.com. What a fun show today, Remis. I knew today would be a big one, but we've been banging like over 800 for a good portion of today's show. Looks like a few new people have jumped on as subs. That's great. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And as I say, wins and good things for the Jets means more people are fired up to pop in and join us. And I knew today would be no different. And hopefully tomorrow will be very similar to today's show.
Yeah, I've been glued to my phone all weekend. I really need to turn the notifications off because I'm getting so many likes on our Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. We're on all those things. So give us a follow across the board. There are all the links in the description, putting out some great content, show clips. And, we were pretty busy on the weekend, too, doing the preview with Frank Corrado on Saturday. We had the post-game show Sunday and Sunday Live. So a lot of interest in the Jets, President's Trophy winners, best playoff atmosphere in sports. Oh, would you text me here? Oh, yeah, you want to send?
Yeah, can we put this sure. And throughout the playoffs, I will be taking photos of particularly great costumes, and I've got a bunch, but I have to show you this one, especially as we come out of WrestleMania, which maybe we'll touch on for a second before we go. But my old buddy Couch showed up at the game with a homemade white hoodie with potentially the most hilarious Jets graphic I have ever seen. Mr. Perfect, but with Cole Perfetti's head on it, and Mr. Perfecti.
In the correct font, too.
Yes, in the correct Mr. Perfect font with Perfetti on it. Honest to God, I saw him and I was having a tough time maintaining a conversation because I was laughing so hard. That, my friends, might be the best. And I encourage somebody to top that. Beat that. If you can do something funnier and more creative and better than the Mr. Perfecti hoodie, I would love to see it. I'm just looking at the chat. I knew we had to show this today. That's gold. Wow. Love it. That's so good. Oh, people. Cool. Yeah, we should get one for Perfetti, actually. That is next level.
The hair is very well done.
Yeah.
That's very good job.
So anyway, shout out to Couch and all the fans that were there. Listen, if you're going tonight, the bar was raised very high. Let's get over it tonight, and hopefully the team does as well with a big win. Yeah, I knew the chat is. Oh, T. Conopoli talking about Liv Morgan. Liv is the best. She was a showstopper at WrestleMania. I didn't see night one, for those of you asking me about WrestleMania takes. I didn't see night one. I'm sure I'll check that out again some point this week. I did watch WrestleMania night 2 while keeping an eye on the Leafs Sens game last night. And I thought it was awesome. Like the women's match at the start was crazy. Dirty Dom Mysterio winning the IC belt was a lot of fun. Great match. The Sin City Street fight between Priest and Drew McIntyre was really good. All Liv Morgan matches are good in my book. That was a lot of fun. But man, Remo, the main event I thought was a big letdown. Cena versus Cody Rhodes, and it basically turns on rapper Travis Scott coming down after a 5-minute entrance and doing a little bit of interfering. I don't know. Triple H has done a great job with the creative at just about every single turn. And I know the internet wrestling people complain about everything. I'm with them on this one. That was a whiff. And for that to be seen as memorable 17th championship, which sets the record and puts him a part of everyone, I kind of thought that it was lacking a lot. We'll see what happens moving forward. But for a great weekend overall and an awesome night too, it kind of did get overshadowed by a pretty lame ending to the main event.
Yeah, by all accounts, the intro 3-way match with the women was a hit. The Dominic Mysterio winning the Intercontinental title, great match, and you've been building up this John Cena, Cody Rhodes. I never understood John Cena turning heel here. It's his big return. You want to celebrate his career, and you make him a guy you want to cheer against, and then they have this match that's frankly slow, kind of boring. How many, does he have any other moves in the attitude adjustment? I was how many times can you do that? And then, Travis Scott, do people care about him? Is he a draw? I didn't understand why he came in and, punched Cody Rhodes a couple weeks ago. And he comes in and does with this fake hardcore title that he's selling for $1,200 and takes forever to come to the ring. Pulls at a ref. I didn't buy it. And then I don't think the fans bought it either. And they were cheering. If John Cena is a heel, they're cheering for his win. And I don't know, last year was such a hit with all the run-ins at the end. I think it was tough to overshadow. I do think people felt cheated that they've been teasing The Rock. It seems like he kind of shows up whenever he wants to, and they have to redo.
Part of me thinks that was part of it, and maybe Rock couldn't get to Vegas or something. It just seemed like there's no way that was exactly the way that it planned and played out. For me, from my perspective, go back and watch what happened last year at WrestleMania 40. And all the people coming in. There was a hilarious moment. Stone Cold came down riding an ATV and was doing laps of the ring and lost control and basically drove straight into the barrier over the fans. And there was a woman, I don't know whether she was milking something, trying to get a check from the WWE, but she sort of went down and went up, and there was a big commotion about it. I think Stone Cold said, "Sorry, ma'am, didn't mean to blow you up with my ATV." And then Stone Cold just came in and announced the attendance.
And then drank beer and left.
Oh, of course he drank beer.
Yeah, had a couple Steve Weisers. Yeah, that's what you got to have him there. I think he lives in Reno area. He's got the big ranch. I know he doesn't
Broken Skull Ranch.
He doesn't travel far, so it was close to home. They put him in the Hall of Fame with Bret Hart for the first ever match in the Hall of Fame on the weekend. And he showed up, did his thing, and got out of there. I don't know if he had been impaired going on the ATV, because there's a clip as well where he missed a ramp he was supposed to go on, or it was a new ATV. Usually he's pretty good. He's driven, milk truck, driven the Zamboni, he's driving ATVs on his ranch. I don't know what happened there yesterday.
It was a good thing the Steve Weisers came out before he drove into the barrier on the ATV, or after, I should say, that he drove into the barrier on the ATV. Once the Steve Weisers were consumed, it's time to walk out of the ring, Steve. No driving, no keys when the Steve Weisers are being cracked. Anyways, hit us up on socials if you want more WWE talk. I'm always here for it. Raw after Mania tonight, which we won't be watching because it's on at the same time as the Jets taking on the St. Louis Blues. Game 2 goes tonight. We'll have a massive show tomorrow coming out of tonight's game with all the reaction from tonight. Kevin Sawyer, I know you're missing him on the broadcast.
He's in.
He is joining us tomorrow. We're going to break down the entire game with Kevin. Jeff Hamilton will join us as well. We'll also check in on some of the other series around the Stanley Cup playoffs. That is going to do it for us. If you're at the game, get down there early, take part, and just be a part of everything in and around the building. I'll be in the upper bowl as well. Pop by and say hi if you're in and around that corner. And wherever you are, get the whites on. Get ready to get loud for tonight. Game 2 between the Winnipeg Jets and the St. Louis Blues. Big thanks to Andy Strickland and Mike McIntyre and everyone that joined us, especially everyone new, maybe just finding out Winnipeg Sports Talk for the first time. Hit that subscribe button. We're here every day, 1 p.m. Central, with the latest on the Jets and the Winnipeg sports scene and beyond. Tomorrow, full Game 2 recap and a look ahead as the series shifts over to St. Louis. And, of course, more from around the National Hockey League playoffs outside of the Winnipeg-St. Louis series. That's going to do it for us. Enjoy the night in white. We will see you tomorrow, 1 p.m. right here on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Have a good one, everyone.
Oh, my God! Oh! Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.